Welcome. I just picked up a new game called Vending Machine Co. This is a job simulator. It's pretty cozy and wholesome. It's a kawaii vending machine company that you're running, and you go around and manage and restock and expand into new neighborhoods. It's pretty relaxing. There is a decent amount of problem solving and I'd say puzzle play to aspects of it. Maybe not directly, but it's pretty strongly prevalent if you want to, do well in the game. I'm still figuring that part out, I think. I've played about 6 hours so far, and as I've gone through that, I found some places where I would have definitely benefited from knowing some things a little earlier than I caught on to them. So my hope is that I can pass some of that on to others, and you can benefit from those tips a little earlier in the gameplay than I did. All right, let's get started. The first step, read the book, read the instructions. I know that's going to seem really obvious and maybe very simple, but there are some things in here that really can make a difference. And it's easy to, want to skip when there's a whole lot of words and just get right into the gameplay. But I just want to call your attention to a couple different tabs in here specifically that are going to make a big difference as you go through and learn how to stock your vending machines effectively. So the first is the area item preferences. Just be aware that different areas have different preferences. You can find those on the map. Be aware of events and the effects of different things that happen in the game. It's going to be really valuable to have certain things stocked and have different areas unlocked and some other things. So just be aware there's different events taking place. And then the customer types. And this was the one where if you paid attention to nothing else in the book, I would say make sure you pay attention here. There's multiple pages. So if you scroll over with the, arrow navigator buttons here at the bottom, you'll be able to find all the different types of customers. And the customers are going to impact a lot what sells well within your area. Here's an example. If we take a look at the temple grounds, they prefer it's a quiet area, so you might not want as flashy looking vending machines. There's tourists there. Then if we pop back over into the customer types, we can take a look at tourists, you'll find they like souvenirs, traditional items. The elders also like traditional items. So that's traditional items are going to be something you can sell at the temple grounds that make a lot of sense because you've got at least two customer bases there that like traditional items. So with that, we'll go ahead and move into tip number 2. Tip number 2, speaking of your customers, when you're in the different areas, click on your customers. I did not think about this until about 2 hours into my gameplay. It seems so obvious, but I think it was so obvious I didn't think about it. And it not only helps you make sure you understand, which customer they actually are, but it gives you both a Steam achievement for every customer type that you click on, and it gives you an in-game achievement, so you get $100 in the game. So it's a good way to make a little bit of extra money right in the early game especially, and gets you a Steam achievement. So bonus on both fronts there. On to tip number 3. This one is going to be feed the ducks. Pay attention to the mini games, especially right at the beginning. And there are some specific mini games that are going to make a difference. Feeding the ducks is just a simple little thing you can do on a daily basis and earn a little bit of extra money. So you just go ahead and make sure that you get all the ducks and all 6 of the fish fed, and for each one that you feed, you get a little bit of money. I do find with the fish, sometimes I have to putz around to make sure that I get all 6 of them, because sometimes I'll just feed the same 4 over and over again. But there's different mini games kind of mixed throughout each level. You're going to find that there's mini games related to the vending machine upgrades as well. Like, for example, here the recycling bins make a mini game. There's cleaning, which is kind of a very simple mini game. But here in the temple grounds especially, I found so far there's these charms, these blessings that you can unlock one a day. And there's been some in here that have really helped, especially during like specific events, or if you have a rival vending machine. There's a one that pops up sometimes that gets you can buy a rival vending machine for 50% off, which saves you a ton of money. So just pay attention to these. Come in, check them out every big start of the day. And then you'll find different mini games, like I said, in the different areas that are pretty fun to play as well. So just be aware they're there, take advantage of them, earn some extra money, and make your gameplay a little more interesting with the temple blessings. I'm curious to see what I'll find in other areas as well as I unlock more. All right, that brings us on to tip number 4. Use the quest board. Use it early. I did not realize that this was here right at first. I caught on fairly quickly, but I had completed quite a bit of quests by the time I realized it was here. But it's a really good way to make a pretty significant amount of money, which is really helpful in expanding new areas, to buy new vending machines. You'll see some of those were worth 3,000. There's some 400, some $1,000 ones in there, and like I said, some of them are pretty easy to get, like these ones where you get $100 just by clicking on the different customer types. So pop in here, take a look at the different quests that there are in the game, and take advantage of those early in the game. All right, that brings us on to tip number 5, upgrades. Now, I'm not pointing out that the upgrades are here. I think that's pretty obvious, and folks will catch on there. But the part that I really want to call out is to be really strategic in the upgrades that you unlock. As you go through these upgrades, this 2 item slots instantly doubles the capacity of your vending machine, and it's a pretty cheap upgrade. I think it was like $100. This 5 item slot, quadruples your capacity of your machine, and I think it was also like $300. It was pretty cheap too. So those are good ones to do right out of the gate. And then pay attention to specific different upgrades are effective and make a difference in different areas. So this one, for example, the recycling matters in this particular neighborhood area that I'm in. And so this one was worth it to unlock for me early on. The solar panel increases, your chance to sell items by 10% in all areas. And I think it was a pretty cheap one. I want to say it was like 200. Don't don't come after me if I've got the price wrong. I'm just going off memory here, but I do remember it being a pretty cheap one, and it impacts everybody. So as you look through the different upgrades, you'll find like this one matters in the temple grounds. Some of them are specific to the university ward. To just pay attention and be really strategic in your upgrades. They are pretty expensive by the time, as you have multiple machines going and you're trying to balance your inventory and everything else. It costs a lot to do very many upgrades right out of the gate. So I would just say be strategic about which ones you apply at first. All right, that brings us on to tip number 6, dates. Pay attention to the calendar. There's some other places I'll point out as well to pay attention to the dates. But again, it's not so much that I'm pointing out to utilize the calendar or that the calendar is there as much as it is to, again, be pretty strategic in paying attention to what is provided through the calendar. So for example, the expo, the exam season, those are all going to be much more valuable dates to you if you have certain venues, or excuse me, areas unlocked. So for example, the exam season is going to give you a lot more benefit if you've got the university area unlocked. So know what's coming and work on having the areas unlocked that are going to make a difference there. The other area that I mentioned to pay attention to dates is here on the map. You'll notice there at the bottom of the map it says changes on day 27. So those are the hot items that sell really well in that district, and those do change. So just pay attention to the dates again that are upcoming, so that you don't like stock up a whole bunch of, you know, peak energy drink on day 27, and then on day 26, and then on day 27 you're left with a whole bunch of no longer hot products. All right, that brings us to the last step, the market expansion. Again, I didn't notice this was here as soon as I maybe should have, but I just want to call out to, again, be mindful of what you unlock when you unlock it. The stationery, for example, is the pens and the highlighters and a lot of things that sell really good during those exam days. So I wanted to make sure that I had that unlocked before the university exam event. And that's going to just help you be well prepared for the different things that are coming in the game and help you be able to sell things. With the expo, for example, I sold a ton of comic books and toys, and having some of those things, the stationery helped me there to have the comic books, where I wouldn't have had those if I hadn't had that unlocked. So just be aware that the upgrades are here. But more so than that, be strategic in when you unlock them to align with the other things that you're doing in the game. And with that wraps us up. I hope that this was helpful. I would love to know what tips you all are finding, because I'm sure that there's a lot I've missed. I'm actually pretty impressed with the size of the game. You can see I've got 3 areas unlocked right now, and I've played, like I said, about 6 hours, and there's still a lot that I haven't got upgraded. And so I'd love to know what else other people are finding, what tips are valuable. I am enjoying the game. I think I've definitely gotten my money's worth out of it in just, you know, the initial gameplay that I've done so far, and I look forward to hearing and seeing what else is to come. Thanks.